That's how you do. That's how you do a meeting, PJ. Just boom, boom, just like that. What's up, everybody? My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Sager of Steven Sager Jewelers. That's one thing that it's the biggest thing that I don't miss about the corporate world, corporate America. When you work for a corporation, the meetings, the sitting around in the meetings. No. I like efficiency, baby. Fred Godelli, who I worked for Sunday Night Football for quite some time, ran the greatest meeting ever. It was guaranteed 45 minutes tops of needed information. Cameramen getting their assignments, replay team getting what they need to pay attention to during that game, tendencies that each team has had throughout the season. Oh, it was bang, bang, bang. It was all information. That's what a meeting should be. And nobody would raise their hand and go, but like the water cups that we have aren't, they're leaking. Where can we get better? Well, the guy that didn't have any good information. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's game day. World Series Game 1, 8:03. Aaron Nola gets the ball. He'll be on the bump in Houston against Justin Verlander. And here we are, drinking it all in. There is something different about the Phillies being good and in the playoffs that is different than almost every other team in the city. And I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying it's different. Maybe when the Sixers are in the playoffs, maybe the Flyers and the orange really sticks out, but I certainly don't see as much midnight green. When the Phillies are in the midst of a playoff run, you look around the city and you go to your Wawa, you go to whatever corner store you go to, whatever bodega you go to in the city, whatever it is, you see Phillies red everywhere. And I only liken it to this, which is hilarious because it's just a coinky dink that the Philadelphia Eagles are playing host to the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday. But when I have been in Pittsburgh for game days for the Steelers, everybody has their black and yellow on throughout the city. Everyone. And walking around the city yesterday, it was my wife's birthday. It was Toots's birthday yesterday. So we went out, had ourselves a nice time. We were walking around. We're in the school now where, because we have two young kids, early dinner reservations are all we could do. My mom was over taking care of the kids yesterday, so we could go out for my wife's birthday. Literally had dinner at 4:00 yesterday. So we could be home for bedtime and all that great stuff, put the kids down. Literally had dinner at 4:00. So we were walking around the city. I'm walking around South Philly. Everywhere I turned, Phillies red, Phillies baseball cap, throwback Phillies cap, Red October t-shirts. Like I'm surprised I didn't see somebody just walking around in rally towels, basically. Like for me, I bask in that. I think that is awesome. We're all supporting the common cause. And it all starts tonight when it comes to the World Series and it comes to Game 1. I love the story that came out yesterday regarding Aaron Nola and Rob Thompson. Rob Thompson and the Phillies, they clinch the NL pennant and the trip to the World Series. Rob Thompson goes onto the field, puts his arms around Aaron Nola and says, hey, you're starting Game 1. And meanwhile, we're talking about, okay, will it be Nola? It'll probably be Nola. It'll probably be Wheeler. No, Wheeler will probably be Wheeler. No, it'll probably be Nola. Oh, my goodness. That game. When I heard that, it gave me chills. It gave me chills. So congratulations, Aaron Nola, getting that ball tonight. I know he will represent us well. I think he will have a bounce-back start. I think he's going to have a fine start for the Phillies as that gets underway tonight. And I am beaming with excitement for this. In Philadelphia, as I've said, we had a week. It feels like we had 2 bye weeks in one, essentially. We went through the Eagles bye week, and then we went through this long layoff of the Phillies and waiting for them because they played Sunday in Philly, off the whole week until tonight in Houston. I can't wait. I've told you, my prediction, the Phillies win this series in 5 games. They blow everyone away, and they win this series in 5 games. That's what I'm going with. Phillies in 5. You know why? Because last time they won the World Series, that's what they did. Well, they did it in 5.5 because of the rain interruption in Game 5. But they win Game 1, they lose Game 2. That's been the MO. That was what happened in 2008. That seems what happened again this year. And I don't think any one of these games is a comfortable game. Not a one of them. As I've been saying all week, I think it's going to be a very close series, but short. You're going to have a lot of 4-3 games. You're going to have a 3-2 game. You're going to have all edge of your seat the entire way. We're going to be watching that bullpen game with great anticipation. We're going to be watching Zach Wheeler on the mound in a 3-2 game type of situation. That's how I see this going on. Well, it's going to be a quick series, but every game is on the edge of your seat. Oh, five games. It's not that close a series. Each game is going to be high impact drama. Not good for the heart, folks. That's going to be edge of your seat type stuff. So that's the way I see this series playing out. And I just can't wait for the first pitch tonight. It's going to be one of those things where I'm going to take midday siesta, long midday siesta, so I can be ready to go for game one tonight. And it's really going to come down to Bryce Harper staying hot. 1,000 billion bajillion %. Bryce Harper's got to stay hot. If I had to ask you this, do you think Bryce Harper or Rhys Hoskins hits more home runs? That'll be a question I have for you today. Oh, speaking of questions, how do I leave this out of the top of the show there? Yesterday, I took to the streets of Philadelphia. Again, walking around, seeing people in their Phillies colors. Looking for people in their Eagles colors yesterday, though, because I was doing the Mojo Farzy in the Field segment for today's show, where I asked Philadelphia Eagle fans and one fan of another NFC East team, not going to give it away just yet, asked them what they thought of the Eagles-Steelers matchup. Speaking of which, by the way, Matt Breen will join us momentarily to talk to us about all things World Series. Look forward to that conversation. Matt's always a great guy to catch up with. Phenomenal. I mean, really, he has taken his new role at the Inquirer over the last year, like to the next level. Hey, write about what you want, whatever you find interesting. And he crushed it. Had a great piece on Chase Utley. He's wrote about so many different topics. Utley's role that he has out there in London now. So many other different topics throughout the season. It has been a joy to be able to read his stuff. And he's got a story that he did on Rhys Hoskins this week that absolutely blew me away. And we'll get into one of the quotes from that story a little bit later on, because it takes you back to Rhys Hoskins' bat spike, if you remember. And that was, of course, game 3 of the NLDS against the Braves, where he hits the 3-run home run after they walk Kyle Schwarber, and he spikes that bat into the ground. And what Matt Breen, I'll just show you right now, what Matt Breen wrote about it was this. Check this out. Emphatically spiking his bat to the ground, seeming to release the frustrations he shared with fans as they waited together to finally feel moments like this. The emotions, Hoskins said, was raw. He had heard for years about October baseball in Philadelphia. Now he is living it. That is artwork. All right, that's poetry by Matt Breen in the Inquirer. That story came out on Monday. And it's something I didn't even think of, because I've said for the last couple of weeks that I look at a guy like Rhys Hoskins. He has been a face of the organization. He has been the guy that has been the forefront of everything over the last couple of really since 2017, since he's been up here. Then Bryce Harper got here. And then last year when Rhys got hurt, Bryce really took things over. This really became Bryce Harper's franchise. But Rhys Hoskins was the first guy that the Phillies really leaned on after the Howard, Utley, Rollins era in Philadelphia to be the next guy, the next cornerstone of a championship caliber team. And they hung with him, and they moved him out to left field at one point. They brought in Carlos Santana, which Matt actually reminded me of. That was a blip on the radar. That it was, what the hell? And this great hitter comes to Philadelphia, can't hit worth the damn, goes back to Cleveland the following year, starts hitting the cover off the ball again. What the hell's that? But anyway, they moved him around. Everything that they asked of him, he did. And he was the face of a bad organization for a while. And then everything changed. And when Matt wrote the line that I just read to you there about the catharsis of that bat spike, it all came rushing back, like what he had been through as a member of this Phillies organization and the transition that this team went through and this franchise went through with him on it, and him being a big piece of it as well. So I look forward to putting that out there for you guys to hear what Matt Breen had to say about this Philadelphia Phillies team and Rhys Hoskins in particular, about what this playoff run has meant to him. So we'll get that going coming up in just a couple of minutes. And like I said, we got a Farzy in the Field segment brought to you by Mojo. We do have a Philadelphia Eagles game this weekend, folks. Here's the Farzy 5. 5 things to watch out for when it comes to Eagles Steelers. Let me just say this. I got the Phillies winning the World Series in 5. And I got the Eagles winning this game, putting up maybe 40 points on the Steelers. I'm pretty optimistic. It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if the Eagles put up 40 points on the Steelers. Not even a little bit. The Steelers are terrible. And the Eagles can't do what I am doing, which is completely taking the Steelers for granted. I am looking past the Steelers. Hell, I'm really not looking at another game with the Eagles until they play another divisional opponent, in all honesty. Like, that's where I'm at right now with this Eagles team, because their schedule's cake. They're a great football team, and they just added Robert Quinn, who Brandon Graham says, hey, yeah, he'll probably play this weekend. What? I know Christian McCaffrey just played for the San Francisco 49ers after he was traded like 20 minutes before the game, and he played. Didn't get a lot of snaps, but he played. Robert Quinn, go get the quarterback. That's your job this week. What about the playbook? No. The play is you get the quarterback. Okay. There you go. So, I'll be fascinated if he actually does play. I'm curious to see whether or not he does play in this game coming up. Brandon Graham, as of yesterday, was still nursing a hamstring injury, so that could have a lot to do with why he might be available, why Robert Quinn might be available coming up on this Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock against the Steelers. So that's interesting. So it wouldn't shock me if the Eagles put up 40 points, but this is what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with a straight up score. I'm going to start with the score here. 35. Eagles 35 to 10. 35 to 10 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Mark, you homer. Why would you go with a score like that? Well, I'll tell you why I'm going to go with a score like that. Well, here's the answer for you. The Steelers are terrible. There's a lot of things that I can get in here and really reveal to you. But if you haven't been following, they're 2-5 on the season. They beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you know what? There you go. The Bucs not exactly a great team this year by any means, but the fact that one of their 2 wins this season is against the Buccaneers is definitely an eyebrow raiser. They're coming off a loss to the Miami Dolphins, but they are a team that does not score points. They're a team that does not do a great job of preventing points, and they're a team that gives the ball away at a rapid rate. So my question is, how do you lose to a team like that? Usually every season or every week I try to look at it and go, how do you beat this other team? What do they need to do to beat this other team? Well, I'll tell you what they really they need to do. Just basically anything. They can do anything, and they could beat this team. When they give the ball away, the 5th most turnovers in the NFL with 12, which is what the Pittsburgh Steelers are at right now. When they when they score the 2nd fewest points in the NFL, you should beat that team. When they allow a middle of the road, like 21 points per game on average, you should beat that team, especially when you're an offense that puts up points like the Eagles have put up points overall, not just in that second quarter where they've had so much success. There's no reason the Eagles should lose to this team. The only way the Eagles lose to this team is if they look past them, is if they overlook them, if they take them too lightly. Now, you might say look past them. Well, they got the Thursday night game coming up against the Texans. So are they looking forward to that game? Are they looking past this team and look at the Texans? No, so that doesn't really appeal to me as far as that argument goes. Like, you can't overlook. Overlooking them makes more sense. Taking them too lightly makes too much sense. But I think the Eagles are going to be looking at a team like this and not saying, oh, we got this, and overconfident and all that stuff and make mistakes. No. I think they're going to look at this game, and I think they're going to look at it as, we should dominate this team. So we are going to go out there and dominate this team. The only way they lose is if they beat themselves. If Jalen Hurts has his worst game, if your running backs fumble the football, if you're having way too many giveaways in general overall, if you're just doing that, then yes, you're going to lose this game. But I look at the yards, and that's the number one thing that I look at in this game is the fact that the Eagles can move the ball up and down the field on this team. Right now, I'll give you those numbers one more time. They only score 15.3 points per game. That's the second worst in the NFL. And they only allow 23.1 points per game, which is 22nd in the NFL. So you should win that battle. Fifth most giveaways in the game there. That's 12 on the season. Those are two things that I'm looking at right now. And then there's a couple of things here that I want the Eagles to pay close attention to because they could disrupt the game. Alex Highsmith, linebacker, 6.5 sacks to this point this season. When it comes to sacks, I don't worry too much about Jalen Hurts because of the escapability. You're going to get him a couple of times, but when it comes to really being able to get after a guy like Jalen Hurts, he is able to just get out of the pocket, extend the play, make a play downfield, whether that be 30 yards downfield, whether that be 10 yards downfield. He's able to make that play. He's able to turn that into a positive gain, if you will, if you're trying to get him in the backfield. Not really a lot of success there. Najee Harris is another guy who has been up and down, a little bit of a new system out there in Pittsburgh, of course, now that you don't have Ben Roethlisberger chucking the ball downfield. They're looking to get a couple other guys going offensively. Deontay Johnson's one of those guys, of course. Pickett's is another one of those guys that are trying to get going as well. But Najee Harris, I think, is a guy that is starting to be used appropriately by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm curious to see if they use him more so against this Eagles team to try to keep that offense off the field. That's one of the things I'm going to be looking to. But that's certainly a guy that they have to stop. I think the number one thing they have to do is make Kenny Pickett beat them. That's the number one thing they have to do. Najee Harris can't be the guy that beats you. He's too good, and if you get him going, he'll get momentum going. And this defensive line and this linebacking core, with as well as they've played this season, they shouldn't allow a guy like Najee Harris to start running away with it. Minka Fitzpatrick, third. He's got 3 interceptions on the season. There's like a 9-way tie in the NFL for second most interceptions this season. Eagles certainly could pick the ball off as well. Darius Slay, James Bradbury, just to name a few there. They can certainly get after him. But Minka Fitzpatrick is one of those guys that just seems to always be lurking, coming up with a big play for the Steelers since he was traded there a couple of years ago. He has been a difference maker defensively for that team, and you always have to be aware of where he is on the field. Jonathan Gannon, Shane Steichen, and Nick Sirianni have talked about it really throughout the season. There's always guys on each team where you jokingly say, "Hey, are you aware of where Micah Parsons is going to be? Have you thought about Micah Parsons this week?" Minka Fitzpatrick is the guy you got to think about when it comes to that Steelers defense and picking off some passes from Jalen Hurts. The Eagles have turned the ball over. I mentioned that the Steelers have turned the ball over 12 times. 12 times this season. 5th most in the NFL. The Eagles have turned the ball over, knock on wood, twice this season, both on interceptions. So let's not do that. Let's not make this the game where we go, what? How do they keep turning the ball over? Minka Fitzpatrick's got 2 interceptions. What the hell's happening? Like that. Nope. This can't be that game. Prevent it from being that game, and you win this football game easily. The only way the Eagles lose this game is if they beat themselves. So I look at Alex Highsmith, I look at Najee Harris, I look at Minka Fitzpatrick, and then I just look at overall the defense and the offense of the Steelers has been very lackluster, and you can't turn the ball over and allow a lot of points. This is not rocket science, this game. The Eagles need to play within themselves and then win this football game. 35-10. Eagles handled their business, improved to 7-0. Robert Quinn was introduced to the media yesterday. Soft-spoken guy, man. Chill guy. Haven't really caught too many interviews with Robert Quinn, not in this setting, but he did put this thought in my brain. Imagine going from a struggling and, in a way, rebuilding Chicago Bears team. Imagine that. And then you come to a team that is perfect. 6-0. I think you look around and go, I just don't want to mess anything up. I don't want to mess anything up. I'm just here to help. Whatever I can do to not rock this boat that is pretty steady in the water right now, I'm just going to go right ahead. I'm going to be chill, and I'm going to handle my business. That was his attitude yesterday. They asked him about success that he had in the scheme or comfortability he had with the scheme. He said they didn't ask him about why he thought he had so much success a year ago versus this year, which I was kind of waiting for. That question didn't come up, which I think is the most pertinent question. But when he was asked at least about scheme, he said that, yeah, it helps, but he's just got to learn the terminology. He goes, most defenses in the NFL are very similar. It's just the terminology is different. So he's got to learn that terminology. I would assume with a week, whatever the Eagles use for blitz, it's going to be very cut and dry for a guy like Robert Quinn. Hey, go after the quarterback, stop the run. I would assume that would be the 2 play calls for him. Stop the run, go after the quarterback. Those are to be the 2 play calls. Run a TE, run an ET. Pretty plain and simple for Robert Quinn this year. Really excited to see this game on Sunday. Really excited for the weekend. And before I get to Matt Breen, ladies and gentlemen, Philadelphia Flyers had a nice win last night, 4-3 over the Florida Panthers. How about this? Carter Hart, 48 saves. Woof. 48 saves, a career high for him. Travis Konecny had a couple of assists last night. Nice to see him have a bounce-back game. John Tortorella said as much afterwards. So that was nice. Kevin Hayes also putting forth some effort as well. So some good stuff. Some good stuff from the Flyers. Keep it rolling, baby. Keep it rolling. Let me tell you about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. For over 40 years, Steven Singer has been in the love business in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia has been trusting him when it comes to those real diamonds from a real jeweler that'll treat you like a real person and a real family member at the other corner of 8th and Walnut. And now Steven gives you the perfect price each and every day. Not just at IHateStevenSinger.com, but in store as well, of course. The perfect price. Now, what's the perfect price? The perfect price is something that where you have to worry about negotiating or haggling or worried about whether or not the person next to you is getting some kind of better deal than you are. No. It's not like that at all. You know what it is? It's getting treated right and getting treated like you can just relax when it comes to a big jewelry purchase, because some people are on edge. They feel like they got to negotiate. They got to haggle. Now to Steven Singer Jeweler. Set at the perfect price. You know things aren't marked way up like you're getting taken advantage of. No. You get to be comfortable and pick out the beautiful, dazzling diamond that you want to buy for that special someone in your life. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, the perfect price each and every day. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's jump on the Roth Orthopedics guest line, talk to my man Matt Breen of Inquirer.com about all things Phillies and his amazing article on Rhys Hoskins. Joining us right now, the Roth Orthopedics guest line from Inquirer.com, writing all things every day. My man, Matt Breen, joins us right now from Inquirer.com. What's up, Matt?
What's up, Mark? How you been?
I've been excellent, and I know I texted you this already, but just for public consumption, this story is fantastic that you wrote in Inquirer.com. People can check this out right now. It's on my timeline as well, and you concentrate on Rhys Hoskins. Absolutely, and you know I'm a fan of yours, and this story on Rhys Hoskins I think is picture perfect when it comes to what he has meant to the organization, and it kind of got the ball rolling in my head about, I hate to use this term, but sort of false prophets. Like guys that were supposed to come in and kind of help turn the page to the next generation of winning Phillies baseball. And the one guy that jumps to mind is, Tommy Joseph was a guy that was supposed to be the next guy. And then Rhys Hoskins came out, and as you referenced in the story, Rhys Lightning started up. He set the bar very high for himself. And here he is being a huge foundation piece to a lot of free agents that sure came here, or trades that came here to help this Phillies team win. But Rhys Hoskins has been here through it all, as you chronicle in the piece.
Yeah, this rebuild started in earnest, like going into the 2015 season. And Rhys Hoskins, Aaron Nolan, Zach Eflin are the only ones that survived, really. That were there in the beginning, and they were in that conversation of could be the next contending Phillies team. It took a lot longer than we expected, but they're the only guys that made it. And I think there's something said for that. And Rhys Hoskins, ever since he really, even before he got to the big leagues, he was in the minor leagues, has been the same guy, always approachable, stand-up guy. And then when he gets to the big leagues, he's day one. They have nobody else on this team that is is able to be marketed, or is able to, really hold it, like stand and speak for the team in an interview. And he was the guy right on. And he didn't shy away from it. He embraced it. He understood that was, kind of came with the territory. And he's reaping the benefits of it now that, he's here and they're going to the World Series and he's playing a huge role in it. So it's neat to see. It's neat to see. I met him when he was going into Double-A in spring training, and now you're seeing him in the National League Championship Series. I mean, the World Series, with the big moments in the National League Championship Series. And like I said, nothing's changed. The same guy that was 7-8 years ago, which is crazy to think.
I mean, I referenced the other day on the show when I was talking about Hoskins and his success in the postseason and 5 home runs and all that. I was talking about him and Dylan Cousins down there in the minor leagues. We're supposed to be the Bash brothers coming up here to the majors. Didn't work out, unfortunately, for Cousins, but of course here it's certainly working out.
Football, or at least trying to.
Is that what he's doing? Like arena football or something?
No, he tried to make it. I don't know if he's still trying, but he tried to transition to the NFL. He was like a big time high school football recruit in Arizona when he signed with the Phillies.
That's right.
And he had a tryout or a visit with the Patriots within the last year. That's when it happened. I mean, nothing's came of it. Who knows? Maybe it will down the line. But yeah, right. It was those two. They were. That was the next sluggers for the Phillies, and one's here and one's playing football.
Now I'm going to have to go check the CFL and see if he turned up there. But yeah, those there you go.
The Scottish Claymores.
I'll look up. I got to find this out. I totally forgot about that, but I remember he was a big football player. I forgot that he was getting an NFL tryout. You're right. But yeah, those were 2 guys that were supposed to come up and kind of be that next generation. But with Rhys Hoskins, one of the things, and when you were a beat writer with the team every day, and you're doing great feature pieces now for Inquirer.com, but you were there when there was a lot of transition, not just with the roster, but the coaching staff, the front office. And my take on it from afar was that he was getting told a lot of different messages in a time he was really trying to develop as a Major League Baseball player. And that, I think, threw him off. What is your take on Rhys Hoskins versus the guy that we saw originally belt the, 11 home runs in 14 days, whatever it was? Or what was that like to watch that maturation process and then see where he's at now? Do you think the different messages kind of messed with his swing and approach a little bit?
I think this is he always was a guy with like a patient approach at the plate, and it just so happened that approach led to home runs and home runs in bunches that summer when he came up. But what you see now is probably what Rhys Hoskins always would be, ability to hit home runs at a decent rate, but not a guy that's hitting 17 and 34 games.
Right.
So, but the changes and stuff, like you can't ignore that. 2017, he's awesome. He's the best player on the team. He's the most exciting thing. He opens up the next season playing left field. It's like, that's what happened. And I'm sure he took it with class, and he worked his butt off that spring training, shagging fly balls every morning before anybody got there. It didn't work out because he's a first baseman, but it's just like, what were they thinking? Like, it's not – that was where, there's so many mistakes along the line, and I think that was a part of, like, playing fantasy baseball or playing the show when that's not what it works out. Like, well, we can just hide this guy. Even though he's our best player, we're going to say we appreciate you by sticking you in left field. It's like, and signing Carlos Santana.
Oh my God.
That's what happened. Yeah. I mean, but he dealt with it. He obviously he played for Pete Mackanin. He played for Gabe Kapler. He played for Joe Girardi. Now he's played for Rob Thompson. He's seen all these managers, the change in front office, which we all know about. He, survived that. And here he is. It's all this change. And there's the one constant is Rhys Hoskins is besides for one season, is your first baseman.
Mm-hmm. And I referenced this earlier in the show, but I want to show it one more time because it's great, particularly this part about Hoskins' bat spike when he hit the 3-run home run against the Braves in Game 3 of that NLDS, emphatically spiking his bat to the ground, seeming to release the frustrations he shared with the fans as they waited together to finally feel the moments like this. I mean, that I think sums it up. And that's one of the things I don't think enough people thought about is it's almost like we've looked past Rhys Hoskins with additions like Bryce Harper or JT Realmuto and getting Zach Wheeler. It's almost like we forgot about him for a second because he wasn't the main cornerstone piece. But he has certainly been the guy to be with this franchise the longest and been a guy that this franchise relied on the longest.
Yeah, and he embraced the city like, not many athletes do. A lot of guys love Philly and they talk about Philly. Rhys Hoskins and his now wife lived here in the offseason. They didn't go home to California. They wanted to live here. They wanted to set up shop here. A lot of guys, they live here during the season with their family. They go home in the winter. He stayed here, and I think there's something to that. He learned about Philly. He, considers this home, mm-hmm. and he's from Sacramento, but he considers Philadelphia home, and he understands that he got booed on the Game 3 of the DS, which was stupid to boo the guy. It didn't make sense. But he understood it. And when he spiked the bat, like it wasn't like just like I hit a sweet home run. It was I've been through all these years, and like we're finally here, first October game in a long time, and I'm hitting this huge home run that was so tense that game. And that's why it exploded the way it did, because everybody was so tight after they lose game 2. You come in there and the ballpark was rocking, but it was tight. You could feel how tense it was, just like it was for game 3 of the CS. And he hit that home run. It was like, the lid exploded. And when he spiked the bat, it was because he did it. He felt it too. He's probably coming in tight and nervous and tense. He hits that home run and just like all the tension blew out of the room. And it was cool. It was like that was the perfect guy to hit that home run, because he's been here. He's not a mercenary. Came up through the system. He's been here forever. And then he's in the biggest moment, kind of that set the tone for the rest of the way.
Yeah, and anytime you get, the guy in front of you gets walked, it means I'm not afraid of the next guy. And the next guy was Rhys Hoskins, and he said, "Fear me now," basically. Yeah. Now, where are you at right now with your disbelief, or have you believed this the whole time, that the Phillies are actually, Matt, in the World Series? Where are you at that this 87-win team is now competing for a World Series championship with the Astros starting Friday?
I saw it coming the whole way. I mean, I was saying in June, I said, Rob Thompson, great call. They're going to the World Series. You can't believe this, right? I mean, Now you see it. Like when they got to the DS, I said, that's your toughest matchup the rest of the way, because you weren't ready for it. Like they got caught with their pants down because they had to play the wild card round. So they had to, didn't have the rotation set up. You had to start Ranger. You had to make it work. You had to survive in Atlanta and then try to win that series and move on. And they did that. And once I thought they could do it. And then once they got through that, I said, they're going to win the pennant. Because then the Dodgers get taken out. So now you're playing the Padres, who are good, but they're not the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. And, you could see it coming, but still, like when they win and the rally towels waving, it's like, how did this happen? How did you look out of the scene and it's like out of a movie, because it just happened. There was no build up. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And when we're on the field after the game and they're doing the trophy presentation and the scoreboard says Phillies 2022 National League champions, you're like, they're really going to the World Series. Like it's really neat. It happened like 07 was amazing, but you rode like, to the playoffs. It didn't just like happen and they were there. Like
right.
They had to fight their way in and chase down the Mets, and that was in itself really neat. But this was different. This kind of, you didn't believe in them at all until they finally clinched. Mm. And then they're like, all right, well, they probably got a good shot in St. Louis. And next thing you know, you put your head down, they're in the World Series. It's neat.
That 07 team that finally made the playoffs and the 08 team, I remember the 07 team, that was a team that got hot at the right time to make the playoffs. The 08 team had a little bit more stability from what I remember off the top of my head, and then they clinched things and sealed things up there in September. That was a team that got better as the season went on. This Phillies team kind of hit a bit of a wall in September, but then, man, in October, they were ready to rock. When you look at this matchup with the Houston Astros, answer this question for me, or complete this sentence. The Phillies will win the World Series if what? What has to happen on a Phillies side of things to win this World Series against the Houston Astros?
Two things have to happen. They have to at least split in Houston, and you need Ranger Suarez to give you a quality, I don't want to say quality start, because that's quality start doesn't mean enough, but like a really solid night in game 3. And that's how they will win the World Series.
Okay. All right. Love it. That's a great start. Has Rhys Hoskins already played himself onto next year's Phillies squad, or do you think the Phillies are going to move on from him in the offseason?
It's a great question, because it's probably a lot easier to answer, if they don't make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But I think, John Middleton said he's the soul of the team. Bryce Harper referred to him as a captain. I don't know. I think he's here. And you look at his stats, like it's a lot of up and down, but his season-ending stats are right there with the top first baseman in baseball. Guys that like Matt Olson, a guy that you would be like, I'll take him. It's like right. Very similar OPS plus. I think he's here. And then again, everyone's like, trade Rhys Hoskins. Like my cousin's texting me as they're about to win game 3. Trade him after. I'm like, dude, enjoy the win. But anyway. But he like speaks on behalf of like the rest of the fans. I feel like what are you going to get? Like no one's really like, you look at the rest of the league, people aren't like knocking down the door for first baseman. Mm-hmm. It's not really, it's not a shortstop. It's not a versatile player. So enjoy him. I think that's what I would say is that I would expect him to be back next year, and he deserves a little more. I'm not going to tell you how to think, but I think if you look at the numbers, he deserves a little more credit than it seems like everybody gives him.
At least now, at least after this.
Yeah.
And I agree. And I never, because, okay, my dad, my cousin Greg, my cousin Ron are all on the anti-Rhys Hoskins bandwagon. Trade him. He's terrible. Get him off the team. The whole thing. My one cousin had me put it in his wedding vows. I did the wedding. I officiated his wedding, and I referenced how Rhys Hoskins had to be traded because it was in the wedding vows. And that's how deep it goes. And here it is. That's Philly. That's Philly. But here he is, man, just mashing, hitting 2-run home runs, 3-run home runs, helping get this team to the World Series. That's a true story. Now, how about I gotta ask you this on the other side of things here. The Houston Astros will beat the Phillies if they do what?
If they win those first 2 games.
Ah, damn it.
No, if you go back 0-2, it's over. And you'll know. I think you'll know by game 1, really. How good is this Astros lineup? What Justin Verlander is it going to be? Is it the one that Seattle hit around or the one that struck out 11 Yankees? And how they haven't lost since the Phillies beat them the night they clinched. Like, this is a really, really good team, and I think you're going to find out how good they are in that first game and if it's a mismatch or not. But I don't think it is. Like, I think we watch the Phillies so much, so like we kind of lose track of like maybe how good they are or what an outsider might think of them. So during after they beat the Cardinals, I was thinking to myself, like, if you're a Cardinals fan at Busch Stadium and you're sitting there and you're watching the game, like the scoreboard's up with the your lineup, and you're like, oh, who's on the Phillies? You're like, oh, Kyle Schwarber, I know him. Rhys Hoskins, I know him. Bryce Harper, I know him. JT Realmuto, I know him. Nick Castellanos, I know him. Like, you can go through the lineup, and that's 5 guys that are legitimate major leaguers, not like deep cuts. Like, not everyone knows who Bryson Stott is or Alec Boehm. Like, I get that. But you put those 5 against another team's 5. I think that's a really, really good lineup that we don't maybe give enough credit to. And again, underperformed through the regular season and now has a chance to, getting hot at the right time. And there's no better time to do that than October.
All right, couldn't agree more. I'm enjoying every second of this, and I hope you are too. Matt Breen, Inquirer.com, doing a phenomenal job. Make sure you guys check out this story, one of his most recent stories on Inquirer.com. It is fantastic. Matt, thank you so much for joining me, man. Much appreciated.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Anytime.
Absolutely. Matt Breen, Inquirer.com, joining us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Gotta win, baby. Just gotta win. But, I feel like because the Phillies have been so bad, we've taken Rhys Hoskins. I don't want to say taken him for granted because he hasn't been perfect. He's been far from perfect, especially in the field. Up and down years, of course. Good, great on-base percentage, bad on-base percentage. It seems like pretty consistently always around a 250 hitter in that range, right? 25 to 30 home runs, a little over, whatever. That's pretty much been consistent. But I don't think he is good enough to be a cornerstone foundation piece that you build around, essentially. He was here first, so I guess technically you could say you build around him and Aaron Nola, but, I mean, once Bryce Harper got here, I mean, he was the star of the show. He was the guy that was going to put you over not even put you in the top, and put you in the running, and then over the top. That's more or less what it felt like. But I couldn't be happier for the success that he has had in the postseason. And when you talk about a guy just mashing, that's a guy like Bryce Harper, hitting home runs, getting on base, high batting average. We all know that 400-plus batting average is great. But Rhys Hoskins, man, when he's gotten hits, they've been bombs. And they've been 2-run home runs. They've been big home runs for this team. We talked about the home run in Game 3 against the Braves. It really set the pace for this team. He's done a phenomenal job this postseason, and I could not be happier for him. And, yeah, when John Middleton comes out and says that you're the soul of the team, good God. That's one hell of a compliment, and I don't think anything is further from that truth. That is pretty – I don't think anything is more accurate than that. That is a great thing to hear from the owner. Let me tell you right now about the amazing people at Manscaped. Manscaped.com, where you get 20% off when you use promo code Farzy at Manscaped.com. You'll love it because, fellas, you want to look good everywhere, right? Well, that's why Manscaped is offering the Platinum Package 4.0, and it's one-stop shopping that you'll need, as it includes a Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, and it all comes with skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks, so you can manscape with confidence and comfort, not with great suspense and anxiety. Who wants to manscape in that mindset? Not me, I tell you. Plus, it also comes with the Ultra Premium Body Wash, 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, deodorant, Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver Ball Spray Toner, anti-chafing boxers in the Shed travel bag that you'll be using to hold the goods, that you'll be using to take care of your goods from Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, the leader in below-the-waist grooming, and now you can trust them with the whole shebang. Join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with promo code Farzy. How about the amazing people at PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's PHLSportsNation.com. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. If you like CBD, you want to try CBD. If you want a different CBD, Freestone Farm CBD is the way to go. You'll enjoy their new strain menu at FreestoneFarmCBD.com with their insane tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%. And Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys, they're off the charts. Doesn't get any better than this. And also, they grow all their premium hemp flower in the Garden State with all organic inputs and IPM, so there's nothing synthetic from farm to jar. Then after harvest, they carefully preserve all plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. Just one look or smell will let you know it's CBD done right. And it's the product that's great for anyone looking to take a more natural approach to everything that they put in their body. And how would you like 20% off? Use promo code Farzy at FreestoneFarmCBD.com for 20% off. Ladies and gentlemen, the people of Mojo who bring you Farzy in the Field coming up in just a second. They have over 300 skilled players in the NFL, from quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, everybody there in the skilled positions on Mojo and Mojo.com. Download the Mojo app to your phone right now. Act like the players are stocks that rise and fall with value. Each player has a share price attached to them. Buy low, sell high, make some money for yourself. Deontay Johnson, could he be about to break out? Probably not against this Eagles pass defense, but you get the idea. Najee Harris is a guy I've been telling you for a while now you should pick up and then sell later. I think you'd be buying low now. You'd be selling high later. Miles Sanders went down a little bit 2 weeks ago. We'll see if he bounces back up after this week. But it's all coming down to share price attached to each player. You can take advantage of all this at Mojo.com. Download the Mojo app to your phone right now. Available in New Jersey on Mojo.com, and must be present in New Jersey to trade on Mojo. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Speaking of Mojo, ladies and gentlemen, I took to the streets of Philadelphia, Center City, Love Park, City Hall to talk to the great people about this Eagles-Steelers matchup. And basically, who you invest in. Jalen Hurts, Kenny Pickett, Gardner Minshew, or Kenny Pickett, Najee Harris, Miles Sanders, Deontay Johnson, or A.J. Brown. Pat Freiermuth, watch out for him, too. I should have had him on my one of my 5 guys. But yeah. Pat Freiermuth or Dallas Goedert? Who you got? We answer the questions here with Mojo's Farzy in the Field. All right, here with an Eagles fan, obviously. What's your name?
Donna. My friends call me Sunshine.
I can see why. Now we go to quarterback first. Jalen Hurts or Kenny Pickett?
Oh, Jalen Hurts.
If you had to buy stock in Jalen Hurts or Kenny Pickett, who would you buy stock in?
Jalen Hurts.
Okay, very good. Okay, I like
100%.
Okay, I like the stank on that answer too. If you had to buy stock in Jalen Hurts or Kenny Pickett,
Hurts.
Oh wow, okay. that was easy. How about this? Let's make it a little bit more difficult. Gardner Minshew or Kenny Pickett?
Minshew.
Okay, you're going Minshew right there. All right, Miles Sanders or Najee Harris?
Miles Sanders.
Okay, I love it. Not a homer at all. Not a homer at all. All right, and then finally, Pat Freiermuth or Dallas Goedert. Who you buying stock in?
Got it.
These are all
Best
very
tight end in football.
There we go. Would you go Gardner Minshew or Kenny Pickett? Whose stock would you buy?
I would go with Pickett.
You go with Pickett over Gardner Minshew?
Yeah. I mean, I can't go with Eagles on everything.
And then finally, let's look at the wide receiver position. A.J. Brown or Deontay Johnson?
Deontay. Johnson. I'm a Johnson. He's a Johnson.
Hey! How about a family reunion? If the Farzy show is anything, it's about objectivity. So there's no better person to look at for objectivity than a Yankees Giants fan. Sir, what's your name?
Corey.
Corey, welcome to the Farzy Show. Let me ask you right now, if you had to buy stock in, just because you're a Giants fan, Daniel Jones or Jalen Hurts, who would you buy stock in?
Honestly, Hurts. Jones sucks.
Would you go Kenny Pickett or Gardner Minshew, the Eagles' backup quarterback?
I would pick him.
All right, that makes more sense.
Even when Minshew was in Jacksonville, I wasn't impressed. But he had that good mustache, though.
It's pretty solid mustache.
Yeah.
Can't fight that. If you had to buy stock in Gardner Minshew's mustache, would you?
No, not really.
Not really. Okay, well, that's not available on Mojo anyway, so not yet at least. That's fun. That's fun. Going out there talking to the people, rubbing elbows. A Yankee hat and a Giants shirt. Like the only thing that would have made it more perfect if it was like a Yankees hat and a Lakers t-shirt, or a Yankees hat and a Cowboys jersey, whatever the t-shirt jerseys are, whatever the hell they are. But that's the only thing that would have made it better. That's the only thing. But thanks to the great people of Mojo, sponsored Farzy in the Field, bringing that one back. And thanks to all the good people of Philadelphia for just catching up with me for a second, allowing me to catch up with them, more or less. Good times. Good. And how about that? A couple of Johnsons there just hanging around Center City, Philadelphia. Sweet people. Nice people. It's a good time. Let's get into the chat check, see how you guys are feeling about this weekend. Very action-packed Philly weekend. April, good morning. It's game day. Absolutely. Kevin, hello. How are you? Dan Schwartz, what's going on? I could run through a brick wall right now. There you go, PJ. Producer Dream Extraordinaire. They're not sure if my girlfriend would appreciate another one. Ooh, PJ, good point. Ooh. April, she's with you there. I think we're all in agreement. Jim, don't run through a wall. Do not run through a wall. Again. Seriously, I'm nervous as hell, though. I hate those friggin' cheaters. What if they divide? I went down this rabbit hole yesterday. I'm waiting for the missus to go to our 4:00 dinner. And I'm scrolling on my phone, and somebody had brought up the cheating thing again. And I don't know why it made me go down this rabbit hole again, but it did. Because I guess there's just the fact that they're facing the Houston Astros, it should have put it in my head earlier that, oh my God, what if they're cheating again? What if they have found a new way to cheat? What if they found a more, I don't know, discreet way to cheat? What if, bottom line, whatever it is, what if a year from now, after the Astros win this series, let's live in this world for a second that I don't want to live in, but this is the dark recesses of my brain. What if it comes out that the Astros cheated the Phillies? How would we react as a city, you think? It came out that the Patriots were taping practices and that the Patriots cheated the Eagles out of a Super Bowl in 2005, following the 2004 season, the TO year. They went to the Super Bowl. That came out, 2 years after the Eagles had lost to the Patriots with Spygate? People are still pretty bitter about that. But we didn't know at that point that the Eagles had been cheaters. Or excuse me, that the Patriots had been cheaters when they were playing the Eagles. Now we know that the Astros have been cheaters now before they played the Phillies in the World Series. So it's in the back of my mind. And really, hey, look, no players got punished because they all came clean. Tell us everything and you won't have to go to your room. You tell us everything and you'll still get ice cream at the end of the day. They put the plans out there on the table. No players were punished. Manager, general manager, yep, they were punished. Nobody else. What if it happens again? That wasn't. I don't think it will, but that's, I think, an optimist in me. But what if it did? Good God, man, we'd go ballistic as a city if a story came out after the World Series at some point that the Astros cheated again. Dark recesses in my brain. Dan Schwartz, I'm worried about the home field advantage being less because of so many tickets going to corporate cronies. April Verlander, definitely the pitcher that scares me. I got a weird feeling about tonight. I got a feeling tonight that tonight's game is going to be weird. It's going to be like a Gene Segura home run. It's going to be like a Brandon Marsh home run. It's going to be somebody that we really don't expect to hit a home run for us, that hits the home run, that ends up being the difference in the game. I think Bryce Harper, gets on base in his first at bat. We all get excited. But I have a feeling that tonight is going to come from the hero of the game tonight is going to be somebody we least expect. Garrett Stubbs pinch hit home run. Something like that. That's my gut feeling for tonight. Let's see. What else we have here? Dan Schwartz, Phillies could sell 20,000 out of 135,000. Maybe. MLB got 115,000 to do whatever. That's just gross. Dan with the random facts. Here are a couple of random facts. The Flyers are 5-2. The Atlanta Falcons are the leaders in their division. That's some crazy stuff. Oh, good for Hugh. Yeah, that is good for Hugh. I saw Hugh's tweet blew up a little bit yesterday when he basically put all the pictures of pass rushers or defensive linemen for the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday. Got like 600 retweets. Yeah, that's scary. I think a goal, and I've made this joke a bunch of times, the goal of the Eagles defensive line and edge rushers is basically just to have quarterbacks surrendering at this point. We added Robert Quinn. I think I'm done. Random Anton. Even if the Eagles look past the undervalue the Steelers, they still won't lose. Don't see it at all. It's a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true on any given Sunday. Hey, look, a 35-10. I have the Eagles winning this game, so I'm not exactly taking the Steelers seriously in this game. But I think this will be a you heard of get right games. All right, this is a get back game. Let's get back to where we were after the bye week, but even better. Like that, but better, more or less. And yeah, if you look down the schedule, now yesterday I did a hit on Jeff Kerr's show on Jacob Media, Good Morning NFC East. And I was looking at the schedule for the Eagles because they asked me, like, when do you see the Eagles losing? And I'm like, damn, I know they got what the hell's their names after this? They got the Texans after this. But Steelers, Texans, host the Commanders on Monday Night Football. Then at the Colts, host the Packers, host the Titans, visit the Giants. Look, the Packers don't look like anything scary right now, but they always seem to have those bad starts, and then somehow Aaron Rodgers becomes another MVP. So that's the only game before the Giants game. That's the only game before the Giants game that makes me think twice. Just that it comes down to quarterback play. Like Al Morganti would tell me all the time. He had a coach at BU. I think it was BU. The coach at BU would say, I don't even know why we call it hockey. We should just call it goaltending, right? I think about that with football. Why do we even call it football? We should just call it quarterbacking, right? Aaron Rodgers can steal games for you, and we all know that. And what we have seen over the last couple of years with the Packers, ever since Relax by Aaron Rodgers, they play bad, and then they bounce back. The latest appearance on the Pat McAfee show by Aaron Rodgers, where he really called out teammate, not by name, but just said, hey, if you're not playing well, maybe you shouldn't be playing. Okay. I'm going to let that LaFleur guy coach? No? All right, no? Okay. But he had some really interesting things to say about his team. And they got another tough matchup here against the Bills on the road in Buffalo. I don't think their turnaround is right now, but by the time they play the Eagles in, let's see, 1, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, they might be a different team. But that's the only game that raises my eyebrows before the Giants game. Before you get back in the division after you beat the Commanders again for a second time on Monday Night Football with Taylor Heineke taking over. But yeah, Steelers, Texans, Commanders, Colts, Packers, Titans, Giants, Bears, Cowboys again. It's going to be a minute, I think, before the Eagles lose a game. So let's just put it that way. Let's see what else we have here in our fine chat. Some random Anton. Yeah, I don't think they'll look past this team either. Let's not let this be the Giants game of last year where anything that could go wrong did go wrong. I agree. Random Anton. I can't stand Steven Singer. You could even say I greatly dislike Steven Singer, but do I hate Steven Singer? Yes, absolutely. Mihai Sanchez, what's going on? Morning, Mark, everybody. Happy World Series week. Football Sunday. Not the first time Philly is facing cheaters in a championship. Magic number is 4. Ring the bell. Fly, Eagles, fly. I concur. Phillies got to win. I agree. Blue City Empire Sports. Always nice to have you in the chat. I have a question. Who is the biggest threat to the Eagles? Is it still the Cowgirls or is it now the New York Football Giants? Until the Eagles actually play the Giants and whatever version of Daniel Jones and whatever version of the Giants this is under Brian Dable, I'm going to say that it is the Dallas Cowboys is still the biggest threat to the Eagles. The Giants are playing great, but that defense of the Cowboys, that still scares me a little bit. Sean Gillespie, the Vikings also, even though the Eagles destroyed them. Oh, you're talking about just in the playoffs. Yeah, they're playing great. The Vikings are playing great. Sean Gillespie, run through a wall like Herman Munster. Great reference. There's a car around here that has Cargirls, Yankees, and Bama stickers on it. April. I mean, that's when you just know that the neighborhood has gone down the drain. Got to move. Got to move back to Philly. Anyway, thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Blue City Empire. I hope you enjoyed the Yankee Giants fan that made an appearance in Farzy in the field. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Phillies Game 1 World Series. Are you like me that you for the last week you've seen everything? You've seen the highlights of Bryce Harper's home run. You've seen Rhys Hoskins' bat spike. You've seen the guys taking BP in Houston. You've seen the interview sessions. You've seen the media sessions with Rob Thompson and Aaron Nola. You've seen all of it. And are you like me that you still don't believe it? You still can't go, wait a minute. The World Series, how this even happened? Yeah, I was on Broad Street when they clinched the NL pennant, when they clinched their berth in the World Series. And I was looking around. I still couldn't believe it. Maybe because it was the ganj. There's a lot of ganj smelling. It smelled like ganj. All right, Mally, were you there? It was interesting. It was interesting, say the absolute least. But Game 1 of the World Series tonight, 8:03 start time in Houston. Justin Verlander gets the ball against Aaron Nola. Looking around some of the other sports going on here. Sixers are going to be back in action tonight. They have their second game of this brief 2-game set with the Toronto Raptors, still north of the border. 7:30 tip-off tonight. I'll watch the first quarter, and then it's back to the Phillies. And the Flyers, after their 4-3 victory last night at 5-2-0, are back at it tomorrow when they host the Carolina Hurricanes, their third straight home game. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let's go Phillies. Let's go Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Ring the bell, the whole thing, as you were saying in the chat, guys. I like the Phillies tonight. I'm going to go 3-2 final. 3-2 final score. Garrett Stubbs with a big hit. It's going to be somebody we don't expect. He's going to have a huge hit in the game tonight. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Jim Hyde produced the program. Did a wonderful job. Have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy every second of it. Thanks very much. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. My name is Mark Farzetta. You guys can check me out on the Jacob Media pregame show with Seth Joyner and Derek Gunn coming up on Sunday morning leading up to the Eagles game. We'll be cracking the mics open at 10:30, I believe, for the start time for Eagles and Steelers. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. Let's go, Phils. Take it easy.